Hello and welcome. My name is William, and today we're diving into isomorphisms with trees, a question of tree equality and what that means. When we're talking about general graphs and ask whether two graphs are isomorphic, we're essentially asking whether they're structurally the same. In the middle of this slide, you'll see two graphs, G1 and G2. They are labeled differently and kind of appear different, but they are structurally the same graph, so they're isomorphic. You could, for example, conceptually unfold the graph on the right to match the one on the left, and then relabel its vertices, and you would have two identical graphs. We can also define the notion of a graph isomorphism more rigorously, because saying that two graphs have the same structure is not very well defined. So if we define a graph G1 as the set of edges E1 and the vertices V1, and another graph G2 in the same manner, we say that the two graphs G1 and G2 are isomorphic if there exists a bijection between the sets of vertices V1 and V2 such that for all the pairs of vertices which form an edge in G1, applying the function phi to the nodes of all those edges always results in an edge which is present in G2. So in layman's terms, this means that for an isomorphism to exist, there needs to be a function which can map all the nodes and edges in G1 to G2 and vice versa. As it turns out, determining if two graphs are isomorphic is not only not obvious to the human eye, but is actually also a very difficult problem for computers. It is still an open question as to whether the graph isomorphism problem is NP-complete. However, luckily for us, there are many polynomial time algorithms which exist for specialized graph types, including trees, for determining whether they're isomorphic or not. Let's have a look at a few examples. I'm going to show you two trees, and you have to tell me whether they're isomorphic or not. So are tree 1 and tree 2 isomorphic? No, they're not, because they're structurally different. What about tree 3 and tree 4? Yes, they're isomorphic. In terms of writing an algorithm for identifying isomorphic trees, there are several very quick probabilistic, usually hash or heuristic-based algorithms for identifying isomorphic trees. These algorithms tend to be very fast, but also more error-prone due to hash collisions in a limited integer space. However, they do have their place when it comes to competitive programming and testing the equality of absolutely enormous trees. However, the method we'll be looking at today involves serializing a tree into a unique encoding. This encoding is simply a string that represents the tree, and if another tree has the same encoding, then we say that both trees are isomorphic. When we're going about encoding a tree, you can either directly serialize the unrooted tree, but in practice I find it much easier to write the code to serialize a rooted tree. This is just my personal preference. However, one small caveat to watch out for if you're going for the rooted tree approach is to make sure you root both of your trees T1 and T2 with the same root node before you begin the serialization process, otherwise you get two different encodings. One trick we can use to help ourselves select a common node between both trees is to reuse what we learned in the last video about finding the center of a tree. Now let's have a look at the entire flow of how encoding a tree is going to work. First, we start out with two trees, T1 and T2, which may or may not be isomorphic. That's what we're trying to figure out. From here, find the center of both trees. For now, don't worry about the case where one of the trees has more than one center. We'll see how to handle this later. Next, root the trees at their center nodes. Then generate the encoding for each tree and compare the serialized tree values for equality. The tree encoding is simply a sequence of left and right brackets. However, you can also think of them as zeros and ones, which is just a really large number if you prefer. From this encoding, it should also be possible to reconstruct the original tree solely based on this encoding. I will leave this as an exercise to the reader. The AHU algorithm, short for the initials of the three authors who created the algorithm, is a clever serialization technique for representing a tree as a unique string. Unlike many tree isomorphism invariants and heuristics, AHU is able to capture a complete history of a tree's degree spectrum and structure. In turn, this ensures a deterministic method of checking for tree isomorphisms. Let's take a closer look at how this works. Suppose we have this tree and we wish to encode it. The first thing we do is assign all leaf nodes nth tuples, which are a pair of left and right brackets. After that, for all the nodes with grayed out children, combine their children's labels and wrap them in a new pair of brackets. It's clearer if I highlight how the brackets were combined. If you look at the leftmost branch, you can see that we combined the labels from node 6 and node 7 and then wrapped them in a new bracket set to create the label for node 2. If we continue and process all nodes which have grayed out children, which is currently only node 1, then you see that we've combined the labels from node 4 and node 5 to create node 1's new label. One thing you'll notice is that in the combining phase, the child labels need to get sorted. This is very important because it is what ensures uniqueness. Now we get to process the last node. Here we combine and sort the labels from nodes 2, 1, and 3 to create the final serialized encoding, which is always at the root node. In hindsight, this algorithm isn't too complicated, but I find it extremely clever. Props to the original authors who created it. In summary of what we just looked at, 1. Leaf nodes are assigned nth tuples consisting of a left and right bracket to begin with. 2. Every time you move up a layer, the labels of the previous subtrees need to get sorted lexicographically and then wrapped in brackets. 3. You cannot process a node until you have processed all its children. Okay, good. Now let's have a look at some pseudocode for testing tree isomorphisms. The trees are isomorphic method takes in two undirected trees as input, tree 1 and tree 2, both of which are stored as adjacency lists. The first thing we do is find the center node or nodes of these two trees. This is a method I'm borrowing from one slide deck ago. After that, I root tree 1 using the first center node, which there will always be at least one of. The root tree method is the same one we covered 2 videos ago. Check the description if you need a refresher on that. Now, as a reminder, I'm storing rooted trees in this code as tree node objects defined on this slide. I do this to facilitate writing recursive algorithms, but also to keep our tree data structure organized. Once we have rooted our tree, we can serialize it with the encode method. Let's take a closer look at what's going on there. The encode method is the one which generates the unique string for our tree. The first thing I do is handle the base case where we have a null node. For this, we can return an empty string which will cause all leaf nodes to have a left and right bracket as a starting value upon the callback. For each node, we maintain a list of labels for all the subtrees. To generate the labels, iterate through all the children of this node and recursively call the encode method, adding the results to the labels list. After the for loop, the recursive calls have returned, and the labels list is populated and ready to be sorted. Afterwards, concatenate the labels and wrap the result in brackets. Coming back to the main method, now the next thing we want to do is encode the second tree and compare the encoded result. But if the tree has two centers, we don't know which center node in the second tree is the correct one, so we need to try both. For this, iterate over both centers and root the tree comparing the encoded result with the one from the first tree. If there's any match, then we know for sure that the trees are isomorphic. Awesome, thank you for watching, and if you learned something, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more mathematics and computer science videos. Thank you.